of these springs. There are 3 with the Futaba heavy duty, and that gives it a very much heavier return feel on the gimbals. Alright, we have in this view the right hand stick is actually complete, and you can see that it is self-centering nicely. I think I might try to put just a little bit more tension on the elevator portion. Again, don't go too much, it will jam up the gimbal. That's not bad. Just going to make sure that it's hard to see down in there, but just making sure everything is seated correctly. Okay, that's good. Okay, so now we're almost completed. We have the throttle gimbal here, as you can see, is moving correctly. We just have to put the tension bar back on. Now, one thing I've noticed is on this post where this fixed mounting screw goes in, there are no threads in that. So I think what you need to do is very carefully try to pre-thread it with the original screw, and you're not going to be able to go down all the way with the screw without twisting the post off. So I'm just being very, very careful here not to go too far. And what I do to make it actually fit snug is I put washers under it. I'll show you that really quick. I think if you're really, really, really careful, maybe you can get this to go. But again, that post is not a very thick piece of plastic, and you might break it if you're not very, very careful. So there, we've pre-threaded the post. Pull that screw back out, and let's get our bar. And the side with the round hole, that's the fixed side, so we'll go ahead and put our screw in there. And I do have some washers already lined up, some very, very small washers. I kind of gather these from oddball projects, different things that I've taken apart over the years. Actually, I'm going to put the washers on the other side so that I can make sure and get the most amount of tension on this. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to put the washers on first. I think I'll go with one more washer. Here we go. Okay, now let's put those on this way. That way the tension bar sits flat onto that post. Okay, I'll take a little bit of grease. We'll apply a little bit of grease onto the little ratcheted area here. Not a lot. It doesn't. You wouldn't even have to put grease on there, but it does help it to operate a little smoother. Okay, so now I'll put the screw back in, and we're not going to tighten it up all the way. We're just going to go a decent ways. Okay. Now we're going to bring the tension bar over, and we need to put the adjuster screw in. Actually, I wasn't paying attention and I put that bar in upside down. So that's something to know is watch the direction that you put that bar in. I'm going to flip it over. Here we go. Okay, it should, if you can see this clearly, it should go like this, where the ends are going to be up. Here we go. Try that again. Otherwise, you don't get much tension on your ratchet area. Okay, that's good enough. Let's get the screw back in. This is the adjuster screw. Here we go. There we go. Okay, now we're rolling. Wipe some of the grease off my hands. Okay, and here I'm going to adjust the adjuster down just a little bit. I'm going back to the fixed screw, turning that down until it bottoms out. Again, I'm going to be careful here because that's not a heavy duty post that it's mounted on. Okay, and we can check our tension. It actually feels pretty darn good where I'm at right now. I might give it just a little bit more. This is something that is a personal preference that you have to experiment with yourself, and I'm pretty satisfied with that amount of tension. And again, that's personal preference. Most radios have an adjustment for that. Most guys just the way they come out of the box is sufficient, and that usually is, to be honest. So the last thing to do is to change over 2 of our wires here, and we don't have to do anything else. We don't have to do any servo reversing, anything like that whatsoever. So what we're going to do, it's the second one from each end. We just have to switch places. So very, very carefully pull those out and switch them. Plug them in very carefully. There and here. Make sure they're seated. Okay, tidy up the wires. Make sure everything looks good. Don't touch these other components. Don't touch your trimmer pots. Okay, make sure everything looks good and it's actually finished. So double check, make sure that everything is working correctly. Look at your wires to make sure that they're not getting caught anywhere. And then I'm just going to keep an eye on this little wire, this little servo gimbal wire right here. You don't want to pinch your wires when you put it back together. Okay, so then we take our battery plug, very carefully plug that back in, make sure that it seats. Okay, keep an eye on it, and we can fold this back together. Again, we do have to get this other area of the back part of the case up into that lower section of the antenna. Okay, look at your case, make sure you're not pinching your wires. Take a good look. Some of the wires might be close. Make sure you're not pinching them. We can get the screws back in the back, and then we'll be all set. And then obviously you'll want to be careful when you fire this up for the first time. You want to make sure that you don't just take off and go. You want to double check and make sure that it is performing the way that you expect it to perform. This is my third. I haven't had any troubles with these at all, other than getting that screw to go down in the hole. But other than that, I'll get those in later. You can see now that it is now a Mode 1 radio. Gimbals feel good, and it is ready to go for you. So again, if you haven't done anything like this before, please don't try it. You might accidentally break something in the radio. Have someone with a little bit of experience, or maybe somebody that actually feels comfortable doing this, work on your radio for you. But it's not that bad, and then you're back to your normal mode that you fly if you're a Mode 1 flyer, and you'll have a great time with this system. It's been a lot of fun, and I think DJI has done a great job. We've not put a lot of hours in on these yet, but we're getting there. The weather is still pretty bad here in Indiana. It's getting to be late January, but we're trying to take every opportunity we can to get out and fly. And so far it's been very enjoyable. So I wish everybody good luck and happy flying.